Hi everyone. It is hot as blazes here in Chicago once again, and it's Thursday, so you're looking at me, Scott, here in the Movie Reviewers 100. I'm also known as Cineram here on YouTube. I do Thursday video reviews every week, and our theme this week is the sadly recently departed character actor Dennis Farina, who was for a couple of decades a cop right here in Chicago before he retired from the force and went on to become a character actor, starring as cops and authority figures and also gangsters and criminals. And he's someone that I know well for his sense of humor. He's very, very humorous, especially when he's angry. He's a very funny, angry guy in the movies that he plays, and he's oftentimes rather angry in the films that he's in. One of his most prominent roles was playing the boss of William Peterson's character in Manhunter, the first Hannibal Lecter movie that was made before Anthony Hopkins was hired to play Hannibal Lecter. He was played by Brian Cox in Manhunter, which was directed by Michael Mann. William Peterson was the agent who was tracking down the serial killer. Francis Dollarhide, the Tooth Fairy, who was played by oh gosh, what's this guy's name? I just saw him in something the other night. He was in RoboCop 2, he played the bad guy in that, and in Last Action Hero. Darn it, I should know that guy's name. Tom Noonan, sorry, Tom Noonan. But Dennis Farina played William Peterson's boss. I believe it's the same character played by Scott Glenn in Silence of the Lambs and Harvey Keitel in Red Dragon. Anyway, I'm getting off the subject because I'm not actually talking about that movie. I'm talking about one of his most prominent roles in a comedy, and that is Get Shorty from 1995, which stars John Travolta, Renee Russo, Gene Hackman, Delroy Lindo. Also, recently departed, sadly, was James Gandolfini, playing Delroy Lindo's right-hand man, and it's based on a novel by Elmore Leonard, who passed away just a couple of days ago. This movie is just full of dead people. So Get Shorty, of course, was part of John Travolta's big comeback. He had just starred in Pulp Fiction the year before, another big career resurgence for him, which he then squandered by doing Battlefield Earth a few years later. But this was, he was very, very popular at the time. He went on to do Phenomenon, and he went on to appear in John Woo movies like Broken Arrow and Face Off. And so he was very, very popular, and everybody really liked this movie, except me. At the time, anyway. I thought it was really smarmy, and I just didn't really get into it. But since then, I've seen it more, and I've begun to appreciate it because it is kind of a funny movie. It does have a lot of really good acting in it. And the Dennis Farina character is really significant in this movie. He plays a gangster in Miami called Ray Barbone, also known as just Ray Bones. And Travolta was working for a gangster by the name of Momo. Travolta's kind of an enforcer. He basically collects debts from people who owe money to gangsters and loan sharks and things like that. So when his boss, the gangster he works for, Momo, dies of a heart attack, Dennis Farina's character takes over all his business, which means that Travolta now works for him, which he doesn't like at all, because Travolta hates Dennis Farina's character. They do not get along at all. And in the opening scenes of the movie, not only does he, break his nose, Travolta break Dennis Farina's nose, but he also, when he comes looking for payback, Travolta shoots him and skims basically the top of his head, so he has like this scar up his forehead. So Dennis Farina's hopping mad now, and he demands retribution, and it's not working out. And so people are saying to him, look, Travolta, things are just too hot with Barbone here right now, okay? You really ought to get out of town for a little while. And as luck would have it, Travolta finds out about this lowlife, a guy who owes lots of money to a gangster, played by David Paymer, who recently scammed a life insurance company because they thought he had been on a plane which crashed, but actually he was in the bar drinking himself silly when the plane crashed, so everyone thinks that he's dead. So his wife collects the insurance money. And what David Paymer does is he takes all that money, he runs off to Vegas and starts having himself a grand old time. But when they find out that he's still alive, of course, they want to track him down and get the money that he owes Barbone. So Travolta goes, all right, fine, I'll go to Vegas and I'll track the guy down. And while he's in Vegas looking for him, he comes across a casino owner, I think, who, you know, he asked him for information. If you've seen this guy, he's probably been in town spending lots of money, acting a little crazy. The guy's like, yeah, I've seen him, but I don't think he's here anymore. I think he went to LA. Speaking of LA, I've got a movie producer that owes me a bunch of money. What do you say you go and find this guy for me and get his money, his debt for me, make a few little extra bucks for yourself? So Travolta goes, sure, why not? I'll look up that guy as well. And that's the movie producer played by Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman, he's a B-movie producer who does a lot of monster movies, slasher films, exploitation stuff, but he's looking to sort of make it break into the respectable drama business and maybe win an Oscar or two with a script called Mr. Lovejoy. His girlfriend is a B-movie actress, a very respected and well-liked Z-grade movie actress played by Renee Russo. Renee Russo, you may recall, was very big in the 90s as well. She was in Outbreak, and she was Mel Gibson's leading lady in like 3 different movies, a couple Lethal Weapons, Ransom. So yeah, she was very popular then as well. I haven't seen too much of her lately, although she has been playing Thor's mother in the last couple of Thor movies. So once Travolta gets to LA, he tracks down the movie producer, played by Gene Hackman, and he says, listen, you know, I'm not really all that big on loan sharking, you know, it's just dull, you know, and I don't like hurting people and stuff like that. I want to get in the movie business. So how about I tell you a story and maybe you make a movie about it. It's about this guy who wins a bunch of money after people think that he was on a plane crash, and he goes to Las Vegas, and what he's doing is he's telling his own story trying to make it into a film and pitching it to Gene Hackman. So they get mixed up with, Gene Hackman's also involved with another gangster, a local gangster in Los Angeles, played by Delroy Lindo. He owes money to him as well. And Delroy Lindo, of course, has his right-hand man, James Gandolfini, roughing people up and stuff like that. So this whole sort of complicated mishmash of characters that owe money to each other, and they're trying to hurt each other, or trying to pull scams on each other, stuff like that. But once Gene Hackman finds out about Ray Barbone, he's like, oh, you know, I'm looking for investors for my movie. Maybe he would want to invest. And Travolta's like, no, Dennis Farina, you know, he's not a movie fan. You know, you want to get him involved. You know, you best stay out of his life. Well, Gene Hackman gets drunk one night and calls up Ray Barbone on the phone and says, you know, basically challenges him to come out to LA. So once he shows up, then things really start to get nasty. And Dennis Farina is causing all kinds of trouble for Travolta and for Gene Hackman as well. It's a big mess. It's a big mess. It's a fun movie. Dan DeVito is in it as well. He plays a respected character actor. He's been nominated for a couple of Oscars. There's a really great scene at the end of the film where we see a scene for a movie being shot in which DeVito is playing the main character. He's basically playing the Travolta character, which is really bizarre. But it's a recreation of a scene with Dennis Farina, and the Dennis Farina character is actually played by Harvey Keitel, who's made up to look just like how Dennis Farina looks in the movie with the, you know, broken nose and everything, and the mustache and everything like that. Dennis Farina is very well known for having a big, thick mustache, so he's got it in practically every movie that he's made. Yeah, it's a fun movie. I didn't appreciate it all that much at first, but then I wasn't really into all that, you know, character-driven stuff back in the day. I appreciate it now. I enjoy it. It's a fun movie. Barry Sonnenfeld is the director. He did a couple of Addams Family movies, and then he went on to do Wild Wild West. Yeah, that one didn't work out so well. But Get Shorty is probably his best film. And it's a good film for a lot of people who are in it as well. So Elmore Leonard, of course, wrote the novel, and he also wrote Rum Punch, which was turned into Jackie Brown, the Quentin Tarantino movie. That's a very excellent film as well. But Dennis Farina has played a bunch of really memorable characters. I was messaging Ian, telling him that he ought to check out Snatch if he hasn't already. That's the Guy Ritchie movie with Brad Pitt as the Pikey, and Jason Statham's the main character, and there's a few other notable British actors in it. But Dennis Farina is in that movie as well, plays an American who comes over to London to get involved in some business there, trying to make some money. And yeah, he's very irritated. He has this one line, you know, where he's trying to make sense of all the lingo, and he says, I've been in England, you know, I thought they speak English in England, but so far nobody seems to speak it at all, because I can't understand what anyone's saying, you know. Irritated as always, and he's very, very funny when he is irritated. You should check out the other guy's videos. EJ, he did Midnight Run, which is a classic road picture with Robert De Niro and Charles Grodin. They are also getting a lot of trouble for Dennis Farina, so that's a good one. James did an episode of Tales from the Crypt that Dennis Farina was in, And Ray did a picture I haven't seen, but Dennis Farina for once actually plays the main character. It's a recent picture called The Last Rites of Joe May. So I'll have to see that one. Probably a more serious movie, not so much comical, but it sounds good. So I'll be checking that out at some point. So please look at the other guys' videos if you haven't. We have a new theme starting tomorrow. Big Al has been gone for a few weeks, but he's scheduled to be back starting tomorrow. So look for his video on the new theme. And I'll see you next week. Thanks again for watching. Bye.